Lore Lesson 2, Dismantling Aeternum. For one who seeks lore, the initial days surrounding the launch of a new MMO is a magical time. When the story of the game is relatively unknown and untouched, the discovery of the game's tale lies with you. As the launch of Amazon's New World approaches, the lore seekers have been hard at work extracting the subtle hints the lore team at Amazon Game Studios have been injecting into the game trailers, screenshots, and concept art. On this week's lore lesson, we share some of that information with you. One of the most intriguing aspects of New World's lore is the marriage between the alternate version of the 17th century and our own world history. In other games worlds we've covered, only on rare occasions have we had the opportunity to compare and contrast the fantasy playgrounds with that of our own days of old. To further expand upon the mysteries we will uncover in New World, two wallpapers for the game, appearing on the main website at newworld.com, really grabbed our attention. Both wallpapers utilize the head of a figure wearing a metal Morian helm, that conquistador-style helm, with a metallic face. Now, there are many things in these wallpapers to analyze and speculate upon. Mention but two. First, and probably most obvious, is the script imprinted upon the left cheekbone of the figure's mask. Aside from the very noticeable Aeternum scratched into the metal of the face, the more subdued script beneath presented a bit more of a challenge to decode. Our team discovered the writing was Latin, so we dug a little further. Full credit goes to our good friend and real-world historian Zytheria, who uncovered that the script was actually from the Holy Bible, Revelations 22 verse 2 to be exact, and it reads, "And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding from the throne of God and of the Lamb. In the middle of its street, and on either side of the river, was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each yielding its fruit every month. The leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations." Now, does this confirm that we're being sent to Aeternum in search of eternal life? There's definitely been some scuttlebutt about it, but I think this is very, very poignant evidence. Doesn't it make sense that this knowledge would remain a secret of the church and of the nobles, as Father Russo mentioned in New World's video? Perhaps there is a force within the island protecting this life-changing secret, corrupting those who would try to uncover it. Who is this protecting force? Now, many are familiar with the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and how they took the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but were removed from the garden before they could take from the tree of life. Were the waves of explorers through the centuries sent to Aeternum to uncover the secret of the tree, or perhaps the tree of life itself? Color us intrigued. The second notable discovery from the wallpaper is the fact that the figure depicted is wearing armor adorned with the traditional symbol of the Templars. The famed Knights Templar were a Catholic military order first recognized in the year 1139. Also known as the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ of the Temple of Solomon, this prominent order was among the most skilled fighting units of the Crusades, and they were known as Christian warrior monks. Templars wore distinctive white mantles with a red cross. The order was also comprised of a very large contingent of non-combative members who managed a large economic infrastructure. Here's a little fun fact. The Crusades of our modern world were a series of religious wars sanctioned by the Latin Church during the medieval period. The term crusade can also be applied to other church-sanctioned campaigns throughout history. Now, the Knights Templar were a driving force in the period between 1119 and 1312. They were eventually disbanded due to rumors surrounding their secret initiation and distrust amongst governmental leadership. They were officially dismantled in 1312 by the sitting Pope Clement V. Because of such an abrupt departure of an incredibly influential and powerful group in European society, the Knights Templar became a major source of speculation, legend, and legacy throughout our history. The Knights Templar were also credited with establishing one of the first banks of the world. They began expanding with chapters throughout Western Europe and created a network of banks to allow religious wayfarers to deposit assets in their country of origin and withdraw those funds within the Holy Land of Jerusalem. The Templars excelled in many such business ventures and eventually became enormously wealthy and powerful. This wealth allowed them to build a sizable fleet of ships. This is one reason it plays into Aeternum's story, for them to have mounted expeditions across the sea in search of a hidden island of legend. Now, another intriguing facet of the Knights Templar was the speculation that they were secretively keeping valuable religious artifacts and relics from history. It is widely thought that the Templars were some of the greatest treasure hunters of our history, hoarding relics to increase their massive fortune and fund their operations. A myth continuing to revolve around the Templars is their discovery and safeguarding of the Holy Grail itself. And here's another fun fact. The Holy Grail is a mythical treasure of Arthurian legend. Described as a cup, dish, or stone with miraculous powers providing eternal youth, its legend became interwoven with the legend of the Holy Chalice, the vessel that Jesus Christ himself was said to use during the Last Supper to serve wine. Now we're going to add another little tidbit here for you as we close this lore lesson. One more hidden discovery that we made. But for this one, we will say, hang on to your foil helmets, because this one dips into conspiracy theorist territory. Now, back in 1898, in our real world, a farmer in Minnesota in the US located a slab of rock dating back to 1362. Inscribed upon the rock was a hooked X symbol, which has been found to somehow be connected to the Knights Templar. Author and researcher Scott Wolter has spent years researching the meaning of the hooked X and its mysterious ties to the Templars, possibly proving that the Templars sailed to America long before the time Christopher Columbus was said to have discovered the New World. Now, without getting too crazy into proposed theories surrounding the hooked X, while studying one of the stunning wallpapers New World has made available on their website, I discovered something insanely coincidental. One of the desktop wallpapers for New World depicts a metallic Mauryan helmet in conquistador style in the middle of the rendering, with one side depicting the armies of the corrupted and the other side depicting the newest settlers of Aeternum. Both sides appear to be moving to clash against each other. If you take a close look at the helmet in the center, zooming into the metallic nose on the helmet, on the more damaged or corrupted side, if you will notice an X symbol just above the right nostril. You guessed it. It's a hooked X. I'll let that one simmer for a minute. Now that could be far-fetched, but it also could be yet another hidden message from the lore team at Amazon Game Studios, further proving the obscure messages they want us to uncover. Here's another little fun fact. If you're interested, as much as I was, in learning more about the theory of the hooked X, there are several YouTube videos for you to dive into. Author and researcher Scott Wolter also wrote a book on the subject. It's entitled The Hooked X, Key to the Secret History of North America, and wouldn't you know it, it's available at Amazon.com. The Knights Templar, as indicated by the cryptic messages placed into New World's lore, were undoubtedly part of the history of Aeternum. Perhaps in this alternate reality of the world that we know, the Templars were the predecessors to first reach the island sent to search for the mystery of eternal life, or perhaps for more relics to bring back to the Holy Land, but something went wrong. There was a corruption upon the island that they didn't know of, one that would overtake them and transform them into the very forces that protect the island today. Perhaps our journey, our expedition, is to uncover the secrets surrounding this legend. Prepare to set sail, adventurers. We have work to do.